In this video, we're going to take a look at how you can build a really compact but highly useful deep research AI agent where you can ask it any questions about anything or anyone, and the AI agent is going to do its best to find out more information. It can even do some reasoning, it can do some comparison, and it'll provide you with a fairly useful output with citations. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this works. I'm going to fire up Telegram and I have my bot set up over here. So let's go ahead and ask it something. Let's ask it, can you tell me about the impact of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in one specific country in Africa? And let's go ahead and just test the workflow. So we're waiting for that trigger to happen. And let's hit send, and we'll see that the agent is going to start working. And it should call on one of these two tools. It'll either call Sonar Pro or Sonar. It calls Sonar Pro. And let's see what answer it comes back with. So because we're asking it about one specific country, it's doing research with Sonar Pro. If we had asked it an easier question, a more simpler one where the answer could be, gotten with like where we could have gotten the answer much quicker, it would have used the regular Sonar one. So as you can see, we have a fairly detailed answer over here. Amazing. And the country it chose is Kenya. And we can also ask it follow-up questions. We can ask it about other things. We can ask it to find people. We can ask it to find information, to cite other research papers as well. So this is a fairly lightweight AI agent. There are more detailed builds out there on YouTube where you get entire 40-page research papers as well. I'm working on one like that, and I hope to share one in that vein with you in a couple of weeks. But let's go ahead and check out how we can build this one. So the first thing we want to do is we start with a Telegram trigger, right? So I'm just going to open each node up, and I'll walk you through how we did it. So we have the Telegram trigger. I have my credentials set up, and we want to trigger on a message. Now, what we should actually do is go ahead and add another filter. So let's go ahead and test this step one more time and listen for a test event. I'm just going to go hit hi, and let's get our test event. Perfect. Right. So we do need to add one more filter, and that is to make sure that the username is matches your particular username. Because if it doesn't, anybody who has access to your bot can, message the bot and start triggering your workflows. So let's go ahead and add a filter node over here. Perfect. And once we add that filter, the message from has to be ideally, you should keep the ID, right? So the ID is equal to this, and you want to copy and paste this over here. So now, the only way this filter is going to work is if the message comes from you. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So this is just a security measure that you have to take. Oh, oops, that's the issue. All right, so the issue is that we are using a string instead of a number. So let's go ahead and just hit stop and change this is equal to a number. Perfect. Now if we test this, right, so it's kept one item, it's discarded the rest. Perfect. All right, so now that we know the filter is working, we can move on and set the rest of the workflow up. Now, for now, this Telegram trigger works only on text, but you can also set it up to work with voice notes. You will need to add a transcription node in between for that to work. But just for simplicity's sake and to keep things nice and short, I'm going to leave this the way it is. So you have your Telegram trigger. Once you have your message, you want to set up an AI agent, right? And the AI agent, we will need to attach a chat model to it. And the chat model that I'm using is, I don't want to use 4.1 mini. I actually need to use 4.0 mini. I think I mistakenly chose this one. Let's go down and choose 4.0 mini. 4.0 mini. That's the one that we're looking for. Perfect. We have our chat model. We also need window buffer memory. And the memory that we are going to use is going to be json.message.chat.id, which corresponds to this message dot chat dot id, and it's going to be this field over here. So once you run this execution and you test each step, that's when you'll be able to access this variable to add into your window buffer memory. Now, because this is just a couple of conversations back and forth, you can get away with using window buffer memory, but if you want to make it more robust, you can use something like Postgres for more persistent memory as well. All right, so now that we have the model set up and the tools and the memory set up, we also need to give it a couple of tools. And the tools that we are using are the Perplexity.ai API. And if you're not familiar with Perplexity, Perplexity is an AI-powered search engine. It can do excellent deep research, and it can really scour the web and find citations and get you content that is fact checked and backed by real data and real information. So it's incredibly useful for doing research. And in order to access the API, we need to go into our account. Go into settings, right? And once we are in settings, we will need to set up some billing under API billing. You'll need to add some credits if you don't have them, just a few dollars, the minimum payment necessary. And you can go down to API keys and grab your API key. And you'll need to hold on to that, right? So now that we're back in n8n, the first tool is going to be an HTTP request. And let's set up Perplexity Sonar first. So these are two models, right? There's Sonar and Sonar Pro. So these are the two models that we're using. We're using Sonar, which is lightweight, search grounding quicker and cheaper than Sonar Pro. Simple sample queries would be where is company based, right? And Sonar Pro is with more advanced queries, and you can even ask follow-up questions. So what is company's projected Q4 strategy, right? So that requires a deeper level of research. That's when we'd be using Sonar Pro. So if you go into the documentation, let's go here and go to the API reference. We want to see how to make a chat completion, and the chat completion is going to be to this URL over here, api.perplexity.ai/chat/completions. We can go ahead and grab this, go back into n8n, and set up our HTTP request. And the HTTP request rule is going to be a post to this URL over here that we had grabbed from there. And we want to give it a name, and we want to give it a description as well, right? So use Perplexity Sonar to get more in-depth data. That's fine. You will need to provide some headers. You need to provide an authorization header, which will be bearer plus your API key. And the body is fairly simple. If you go back into the documentation, we'll see that this is the data that we need to send. We need to send data from here up to here. And we can go ahead and grab that and paste it in here. So we have the model, which is Sonar. Messages, the role is user, and the content is this. I've just written query as a placeholder. So when we add a placeholder over here, it tells the AI agent that it needs to fill out this particular information, and like leave the max tokens at the default as well. And the placeholder name, you'll have to define that placeholder query. This is the query you have to run. Again, this will go to the AI agent for it to understand what it needs to replace with in this placeholder. And the type, of course, is a string. So that's our Perplexity Sonar setup. And you want to do the same thing for Perplexity Sonar Pro, right? So it's going to be the same URL, the same thing. The only difference is that the description is a little bit more intense to get information that requires more intense research. Headers are going to be the same. The body is going to be the same, except for in model, instead of just Sonar, we're going to add Sonar-Pro. And that's it. Everything else is going to be the same. And finally, let's go ahead and check out the system prompt that we're using for the AI agent. So the agent is a tools agent. That's the one that we're using. We want to, instead of connected chat trigger node, we're going to define below because we're getting the input from Telegram. So leave it at define below. I've got the chat input variable here because I had initially set that up for testing. But for now, all we need is json.message.text, which you can find either from the Telegram trigger. But now that since we've set up the filter, we should actually go ahead and grab it from the filter instead. So we want to get this text field here, grab it and put it down here, right? json.message.text. Perfect. And here is the system message. Let's go ahead and expand it so you can see how it is. You are a research-focused AI assistant that combines real-time web intelligence from Perplexity to generate insightful, concise, and well-cited answers to my queries. We've also given it some usage logic for the tool. So we use the Perplexity Sonar tool for quick lookups and factual summaries, definitions, explainers, podcast and video summaries, trend monitoring, and fast comparisons. And use Sonar Pro for questions regarding synthesis of multiple sources or expert reasoning, business research, scientific or academic deep dives, etc., etc. We've also got some output guidelines where we want to make sure that the agent is only answering our questions and doesn't offer any other unnecessary answers or services, because we are tapping into the entire language model. So if you prompt it with something else, it might go off on a tangent. So we're instructing the model to make sure that it does not entertain any other things except for specific queries that we give it. And we also want to give it some style and tone. I've also added a few instructions. If I ask about a person, use Sonar Pro. In addition to all details, get links to their social profiles, Instagram, LinkedIn, and whichever others you can find. And I've added this extra instruction for people because generally it defaults to just using Sonar for people, and that doesn't really find enough information about more obscure people. But if somebody is very popular already and they have a very robust online presence, just the regular Sonar is going to be fine. But because we want to make sure that we get the right results, I'm forcing it to use Sonar Pro for people. And if you'd like this, if you want to get this prompt, please go ahead and leave a comment, and I'll be happy to share it with you. So now that all of that is set, the last thing we need to do is we just need to connect an output node, which again is going to be a Telegram trigger. Telegram trigger, make sure you've got the right credential, because that's the bot that you're looking for. The resource is a message. The operation is send message. The chat ID is the chat ID from this Telegram trigger, this one down here. And the text is going to be JSON.output from the AI agent. And because we haven't run the whole thing in testing, you're not able to see the variables. But if you build this out and test each step as you go along, you should be able to see those variables all okay. So let's just go ahead and run this one more time. It's going to test the workflow. Go back into Telegram. Can you tell me about Brian Dean and whether he is a reliable source of information regarding SEO? And there we go. We have a beautiful output about who Brian Dean is, key contributions to SEO, reliability as a source. And it's also telling us why he is considered reliable. We've also got more links to real websites as well. So this is a super useful bot that you can use to really get in-depth research at your fingertips and on demand. If you found this video useful, I'd really appreciate it if you could give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more information and tutorials about n8n, make.com, and AI agents in general.